why they got promoted or why they were instituted into that position. I'm a big believer that these days, age is not a significant driver for choosing people. Rather, it's about merit. Don't you think? Rather, it's about how has the person proven that they are worthy of being in this position. How do you manage a boss professionally who shuts you off while you are still speaking your point? I will directly say, boss, may I finish my point? I say something like that. Okay. And sometimes when you say that out loud, and here's a quick tip, sometimes bosses don't notice that they are interrupting. Sometimes there are bosses who are just too passionate or gigil lang sila that they don't want you to speak up anymore. So sometimes it matters to say it or say something like, boss, I understand that you'd like to say X, Y, and Z, but I will appreciate if you can let me first finish my sentence so I can get to my point. Something like that. Okay. Iris Macaranas on Facebook is saying, wow, na-miss ko si Mr. Jonathan Yabut. Sorry guys, alam ko talagang MIA ako for a month. So I'm trying to bumabawi ako with this. By the way, let me just quickly plug while we're waiting for some questions from some participants. Please take note that this week we are conducting our workshops at the SMX Convention Center in SM Aura, Fort BGC. October 26, morning is our leadership workshop. Afternoon is our social media marketing workshop. October 28, which is Saturday, morning is public speaking. Afternoon is business writing. Please visit our website, johnyabut.com/talks. johnyabut.com/talks. All of our workshops are there for you to enroll. The ticket is worth 1,799 pesos for 3 hours. And we also offer discounts. Get 3, you get 1 for free. Enroll 8, you get 3 folks also for free. Okay, let's look at some more. Hanap tayo ng mga ibang questions here. Okay, I have a question here. Question this is from Mirna, also from YouTube. Magandang mga questions sa mga taga-YouTube tonight. So, ang tanong ni Mirna is this. Ang haba naman ng question. Let me rephrase. Okay, so Mirna is asking, speaking of the 4-day work week, sir, is it illegal if my boss, out of the blue, let's say on a Friday afternoon, requires me to go to the office on a Saturday, and the reason is that there is an emergency? Okay, this happens quite often in companies. It's normal that sometimes that your boss is going to ask you to come to work. But remember that when that happens, it must have consent. And that number 2, it must be compensated. It must be compensated, meaning it is considered as overtime work. Of course, pera na lang if it's part of your contract. And please take note, sometimes people miss this out from their employment contracts. When you happen to become a manager, and that means you are labeled as a supervisor or manager, take note, nasa kontrata usually yan, that you no longer are going to be eligible to apply for OT pay, especially if it's overtime pay or weekend pay. So it's normal na pati weekend napapatrabaho ka. But in amazing companies, this does not happen on a weekly, neither a monthly basis. It only happens seasonally, sometimes just once a year, twice a year, etc. Okay? However, if napapansin mo na, wow, every weekend, it seems like I've been working every Saturday and Sunday, I don't get overtime pay. And number 2, kahit man lang sana offsetting, meaning pinapasok ako ng Sabado and then Lunes or Tuesday, di na ako kailangan pumasok. Okay? That should be the rule. In fact, I'm gonna add this more. It's illegal for companies to use offsetting as your compensation because if you were asked to work on a Saturday, it must be paid in cash. It must be paid as compensation. Hindi pwedeng sasabihin ni company na lahat ng mga overtime mo after 7 p.m. or during Saturday or Sunday, I will instead offset it for another day. That is not allowed. The law requires employers to pay and compensate you. Ang magiging exemption to the rule na lang yan is yun nga, nasa kontrata nyo na hindi ka nababayaran ng OT kasi pag supervisor or managerial, the sweldo is mataas enough that it already covers all the supposed overtime. So sometimes because the boss or the company is nicer and generous, they will also give you offset time. instead. Okay? Glenn Principe says, shout out from Santa Rosa, Laguna. Push for 4 days working daw. Okay. If I were to give my, ako, I don't know, this is just me, but I wish that there was a hump in the middle. If I were to work for a company, I will recommend to put a hump on a Wednesday. Siguro yung aking first choice. And the reason for that is because it's really different when you have a breather. Having a Wednesday makes it feels like may dalawa kang weekends. Can I get an exclamation mark if you agree? Di ba? Pag dalawa, meron kang parang Wednesday gap, may Wednesday off ka, tapos meron ka pang Saturday and Sunday. Versus, I mean, not complaining if someone gives me Friday to Sunday weekend, okay din, tuloy-tuloy. That also allows me to travel. I can go out on a Thursday night, tapos ang balik ko Monday morning pa or Sunday night. That's also fine. But 2 days consecutive can be good enough for me to rest. So I'd rather put my extra rest in another time of the week. That's just me. No? And remember, it's proven frequency sometimes trumps intensity. Ulitin ko ha, frequency sometimes trumps intensity. Why is that? Sometimes kapag sobrang tagal na or sobrang haba na niya, nawawala na yung inyong satisfaction. Which by the way, in economics, because I'm an economics graduate, ang tawag namin dyan is the marginal utility, which is diminishing. The more you taste it, the more you experience it, the more the utility of satisfaction decreases also. So for example, it's been proven in studies, kapag masyado ng matagal ang bakasyon mo, and in a lot of studies, they say it's more than 8 days. Kapag matagal na siya, more than 8 days, the happiness that you're getting from the vacation becomes not as good as it was on day one. Why? Naho-homesick ka na, you're no longer comfortable. Some people, napapaisip na sa kanilang mga trabaho. So in order for you to enjoy vacation, rather than prolonging your vacations to more than 7 days or 1 week, instead, take frequent, shorter trips. So take 4 days, 5 nights, 6 nights, maximum siguro na yung 6 or 5, but do it more frequently. Dagdag ko na rin since malapit na ang December vacation. A lot of studies have shown that sometimes anticipation is better than the real thing. And that is, we often enjoy the feeling of thinking about a future vacation rather than experiencing the vacation itself. So sabi nila, the best way to maximize all the benefits, all the happiness of a vacation is to book your flight and book that trip 2 months or 3 months ahead. Why? You're going to be excited for 3 months or 2 months because you will keep on thinking about it too many times in those 2 months or 3 months. Because anticipation sometimes can be better than the real thing. Diba? Amen. Can I get the letter A as in amen? Eduardo on Facebook says, it's now rest for me to read Everything Will Be Alright. Thank you for getting copies of our book and listen to our talk, music to our ear. Okay. Thank you. Salamat po. Okay. Let's look at some more. Sabi ni Plunge on TikTok, it's my second week of work and I foresee na walang career growth sa work. What do I do? I think 2 weeks is too short. There are so many things that can happen to you in 1 month, 2 months, and 3 months. And again, may I strongly recommend, go back to our archives, go back to our Facebook page, watch mo yung aming mga past live videos. We talk about why it shouldn't be a case of deciding to quit immediately in just your first month. Masyadong maikse. You're not giving yourself enough time. You probably have entered the company at a wrong time, na budget season, magulo, may reorg. So it's not giving you the normal situation. And therefore, it might be unfair to judge the company. Don't get me wrong. Of course, there are companies talaga na baka kung ano yung nakita mo, yun na talaga sila forever. But in my case, I've been to my last company, GlaxoSmithKline, before I entered Apprentice Asia, took me 6 months to love it. 6 months. On my third and fourth month, I wanted to quit. But I told to myself, I'm going to give it more time because I have not fully experienced all the activities and I have not yet met all the people in the company. Have I Have I quit? I probably would not be in the situation I am today because that company gave me so, I mean, they allowed me to join Apprentice Asia. They allowed me to exhaust all my leaves and be on unpaid leave just to be out for 2 months to do that show, for example. And they were supportive of what I have accomplished in that show. So I was lucky to be with that company, and I'm happy that I stayed longer than I thought I should. Okay. Uh, may question dito, si Jamomo. Jamomo on TikTok is asking, Sir, if pipili po kayo, let me put this in English because I understand we have some non-Filipino viewers from Malaysia and Singapore on Facebook. But let me first read this in Tagalog. Sir, kung pipili po kayo, startup company, local company, or multinational company? Okay, so the question is, if you were to choose a job, local company, startup company, or multinational company? Okay, I will have my own personal biases, so I'm gonna be have a disclaimer on that. But before I share my own bias, my answer here is again, it will depend on your objectives. I'll give example. I think kung matanda ka na, you're in your late 30s, 40s, and 50s. Shucks, talaga matandaan ang 30s, no? Hindi naman. But I feel that I'm already old. I'm 38 years old. So if you're in your late 30s, 40s, or 50s, I think a multinational company is the best company to work for. Why? The benefits are amazing, right? There is a solid structure. Ang dami ng best practices because this company has already learned from all its mistakes in the past, even from other countries. So, benefits, compensation, usually pag multinational company, it's globally benchmarked. So, you're going to be paid well. Kung mas bata ka, on the other hand, I think it's good to go for a startup company. Why? Very agile, dahil matututunan, mabilis lumakad ang mga trabaho, mabilis lumakad ang mga projects, and sometimes even if you're so young, you can end up doing the biggest projects that only 30 or 40-year-olds will probably get in their lifetime. And the reason for that is because startup companies, everything is so quick. So they assign a lot of things to other people. I'm gonna flip the coin, however. I think there's also a merit, meanwhile, na kapag bata ka, magsimula ka muna sa multinational company. Kasi while you're still a baby and you're still young, it will be great na may mga safety nets. Safety nets meaning, how is the culture of bosses? How's the culture of people? How do they speak? And again, multinational, I'm talking about multinational companies like Johnson& and Johnson, Coca-Cola, Procter& and Gamble, Unilever, yan, Microsoft, all these companies. So, marami silang pera, therefore they can afford to send their people to trainings and workshops. And therefore, the way people perform and the way people are hired, competitive ang kanilang mga performance. So, if you're young, it will be great to set that benchmark first. And then later on, babaliktarin ko doon ka pwede maging startup. And the reason for that is because alam mo na yung pinaka-structured version. Kapag biglang gumulo ang buhay mo, you now have a point of comparison. Kate says, I can't believe you're already 30. Wala sa itsura, no? Gym lang po yan. Gym and I guess not having kids yet. That's the reason why. I do have 2 dogs. And that I think is gonna make me older these days because sobrang stressful. Especially the other dog that I got is a stray dog that I just adopted 2 months ago. Okay, let's ask some more. I'm gonna add, what about working for a local company? Local company will depend because there are local companies who act like they're multinational companies. Examples, I work for Globe Telecom. It's a locally owned company, but a percentage of it is owned by foreign entities. But because of that, it's very multinational. The employees are from different nationalities and people are very progressive in their line of thought. There are also certain local companies na talagang ang may-ari, pamilya. And don't get me wrong, because I'm a very small company myself. The problem, however, I've noticed is that in family-owned businesses, yung owner ay yun din ang HR. And because the owner is also the HR and the mindset is different, sometimes they often see trainings, workshops, and investments for employees, like investing on a proper laptop, investing on a proper office. Sometimes they're not open to the idea that working and spending on these things can improve the quality of life of their employees and therefore the quality of their performance. Yung napapansin ko, hindi lang sila mahilig mag-invest thinking that these are usually costs. And I understand because, the assets and the pockets are not as deep as it is usually with the multinational company. So, my recommendation is, kung nasanay ka na pampered ka sa kumpanya mo, pampered ka na, konting pa-meeting lang, you can reimburse a cup of Starbucks. You are used to the idea that there are usually business trips, local or abroad. You can't work for you can't work for a locally owned business or a family owned business because the budget might be limited. I'd go for a multinational company if you're looking for those things. Okay. Brian is saying, I'm an HR in a government agency. I am very jealous with how HR in private companies can easily innovate. You know, tatapatin ko na kayo This is the reason why every time someone asks me, John, what's the reason why you want to run for public office? And I'm not campaigning because I don't know when that can happen in my life. I don't think I am yet in the position to run, but in the future, I would want to change how the government perceives management of employees. Meaning, if we pay our government employees well, number two, if we do training opportunities, leadership workshops, innovation workshops, public speaking workshops, or simply put, hire the right leaders na kahit hindi ka na magpa-training, and I'm not saying this because I'm in a training industry, kahit hindi ka na magpa-training lagi, basta matino ang mga coaches at managers mo, matino din ang mga empleyado mo. Right? I'm also gonna say this, kapag tinitipid mo ang salary ng iyong mga empleyado, you are going to attract the wrong and the worst employees. Right? The benchmark, for example, for a manager is 40 or 50,000 pesos. Ang budget mo lang 20 or 15. Malamang, who are you going to attract? Talagang yung mga pipitsuging lang na mga talents. And these are talents who just want to do it because they need the money. They will not embrace coaching and mentoring as part of their responsibility. Right? So again, I'm going to be biased because I work for a multinational company. I work for a local company. Globe Telecom acts like a multinational company. GlaxoSmithKline is a multinational company. When I work for AirAsia, it's a multinational company as well. Okay, Dante on Facebook is asking, I am an undergraduate, but I was very lucky to get into one of the biggest software company. Dante says on Facebook, I am already 42 years old. Should I still look at completing my college degree or just invest on skills and training that I can use at work? Dante, likely the reason why you were able to get a job, even if you're not a college degree holder, is because you're working for one of the biggest Silicon Valley companies. I'm talking about companies like Microsoft, Facebook, or Meta, Twitter, or X, Airbnb. Most of Silicon Valley companies do not require diplomas for their employees. And the reason for that is simple. Their founders and their owners were not college degree holders. So they want to espouse the idea that yes, college degrees are important, but if you can prove it through experience and through performance, why not? Now, if you're asking me, should I finish and complete a college degree? Nasa sayo yan. Because a part of me believes, and I've met a lot of these people, sometimes the finishing of the college degree for them is more of a psychological benefit because they want to tell to themselves na natapos ko, na nagawa ko siya, and I will not regret the fact that I was not able to get my diploma. So it's a psychological accomplishment. Do I agree with what you said that it's more important instead to invest on skills and training? I can use work. Yes. Why? If you decide to switch lanes and work on your diploma, it's either number one, you're gonna do part-time college, or number two, you have to quit your job and switch back to college. And the biased person in me will say, if you're gonna spend 2 to 3 years finishing that degree, you're pulling yourself out from the labor market, you're getting yourself out of the experience, and that might not sit well. You might feel rusty when you go back to work, might not also be good all the time for employers who don't like it when there is a gap in the resumes of their candidates. So, if you're already doing so well in your company, even if you're not a college grad, go. In fact, I will say this with confidence. If you move to another Silicon Valley company, even if you don't have a college degree, it will not be the biggest issue at all. So I have lots of friends, Airbnb, Meta, Twitter. Many of them do not have college degrees. They were dropouts, or they were not able to finish their last degree, their last year, or they were not able to submit their thesis and their dissertation, but they're doing so well. Okay? Ingat lang ng konti, because in the Philippines, people are not yet open-minded like that, but in other organizations or countries, they are already open to that. Okay? Okay, someone's asking me, John, why did you leave AirAsia? Because two things. I wanted to become an entrepreneur, which is I am so enjoying right now. So I wanted to learn from Mr. Tony Fernandez himself, but I also said that I have a deadline to beat. I want to earn as much money as I can. And the only way to do that is to become an entrepreneur. And I want to earn money not because I want to become rich. I want to earn as much money because I want to make sure that when I run for public office, when I enter the Philippine politics, I don't want to be beholden to the money donated by sponsors and who will ask something back from me. I want to be rich enough such that I can fund, or at least fund the significant portion of my candidacy in the future. O, di ba nangumpanya na ako? That's how I see it. So, which I'm enjoying right now. I'm enjoying the liberty. The pandemic helped us, really do so well in business because everyone was asking us to do a webinar. We're back to normal now. Hindi ako nakakapag live with you guys because we're so busy, 2 to 3 clients per day. And dumadami na pati yung mga travels and trips namin also because, of course, our foreign clients are finally inviting us back again because we're now back to normal also. Okay, Iris, okay. Let me answer this other question because it's related to that. Iris is asking, what are your thoughts on getting certification or taking a masteral degree for a long-term career growth? Depends on the company. There are companies wherein a masteral degree is required for a merit increase. I'm gonna be snobbish about this, but for me, red flags sa akin yung mga ganung kumpanya. Why? I understand that a masteral degree is going to guarantee that the person has leveled up. But why is it a requirement for someone to have a merit increase? Merit increase should be based on your performance. If you have proven that you have done X, Y, and Z, if you have accomplished revenues, reports, projects, etc., it should not be based on your masteral degree. Because pakialam ko ba, nag-finish ka nga ng masteral degree pero olats pa rin at wapakas yung trabaho mo, you don't deserve that merit increase in the first place. Right? So, why do you think is it beneficial to take a master's degree? You're learning something new. But for me, ang master's talaga, especially for MBA, it's really more for networking. It's really more for getting a hands-on understanding of how businesses are because MBAs are where case studies are being shared. How did IKEA succeed? How did AirAsia succeed and fail and succeed? How did Lego, which was supposed to go bankrupt, become successful after a few years? That's what you learn in MBA schools. And you will not easily learn that just by watching YouTube or just by talking to people. That for me is the benefit of having an MBA. On top of the fact na usually mga kaklase mo sa MBA, may-ari ng mga kumpanya. And so they're there because they want to network and find potential investors or potential future friends and partners also in their business. Okay? So it depends on your objective, Iris, for a master's degree. But this is me. If you need a master's degree just for you to level up, you might want to reconsider that baka naman masyado ka nagiging dependent sa exams at sa books. There are many ways to also level up your performance. Learn a new skill, get a new mentor, be exposed to a new industry, take on a project that might be intimidating but you can accomplish it. I think you will also spectacularly learn by doing it rather than, kasi remember especially for master, especially for MBA, because I think a lot of people do that. A big chunk of MBA is finance. A big chunk of MBA is accounting. And if you're not going to have a purpose for accounting in your line of work, then you might just be taking MBA for the sake of getting a degree at masabi mo lang na meron kang MBA sa LinkedIn account mo. Okay? I don't want you to fall under that trap as well. Okay? May I also add, since we're in that topic, can I also promote this? Can I just add? Let me just show my photo. Ayan, I'm showing it now also for number 18. Okay? Alam mo, na-realize ko pala, kaya pala hindi lumalabas yung face ko kanina is because hindi naka-transparent yung aking phone. Okay, let me work on that next time. 13 years in a multinational, okay, may question dito sa TikTok, si A1, sabi niya, 13 years daw in a multinational private company. 13 years is a lot of time. Still supervisory level with a 21K salary. Advice, please. Question, have you ever talked to your manager? Have you ever vocalized that you want to move up the ladder? Because sometimes bosses will not offer that to you because they just don't think that you want it or because they think that you're not fit for it. So if you want to be, kailangan ko isigaw to if you want to be promoted, you have to tell it to the universe. You have to tell it to the decision makers. It's not enough that you are performing. You have to ask them, boss, I'm so passionate with my job right now. I love what I'm doing, but in the next 3 years or 5 years, here's my aspiration. Instead of just being an associate manager, I want to become a group manager. Can you please let me know what are the requirements of the company for me to be able to move on from letter A to letter B? You need to vocalize these things. You need to have this discussion with your manager. Okay? So ang question ko, the reason why you're stuck perhaps because that hasn't been clear, or number two, you're not stepping up to the plate. Okay ka lang, sucks lang. Diba? Sakto lang, but not good enough to be promoted. But the company is happy to keep you. So you're in the company for the past 13 years, but no one thinks that you should go beyond your current level. Okay? I also want to say 13 years for 21,000 is, I'm not sure if you're exaggerating, but I'm not believing that 21K ka pa rin hanggang ngayon for a multinational company. 21K is almost daily minimum wage. Maybe you're getting more, I don't know. Or baka mali lang yung computation mo. 13 years for a multinational company, feeling ko nag-merit increase ka na dapat also by that time. Okay? By the way, yung SACS lang, natutunan ko yan sa mga Gen Z kong mga estudyante. Parang ako, hindi ba yung word sakto? Gusto pa nilang paiksiin. So, ang kanilang gagamitin na word, SACS. Okay, let's use it. Mukha namang sexy yung word, so fine. Okay, let's answer some more. Folks, I need to log off in 10 to 15 minutes because unfortunately we have a meeting with a client at 9 p.m. That's from a different time zone. Okay. Okay. Gusto kong sagutin ito. Tina Tan on Facebook is saying this, is asking this. What is the best way to deal with superiors who are showing obvious favoritisms at work? Two things. Number one, let's admit the fact that there will be people who will have favorites. And they will have favorites because it's hard not to have someone, kunyari na nga, if the person's performing well, if the person's extremely generating revenues, hindi ba magiging favorite mo yun? Diba? So it's normal for some people to have their own favorites. However, I also acknowledge that sometimes favorite mo siya kasi nagkataon lang best friends kayo, which I think is the unfair version of a favorite. Now, if you notice that someone is glaringly getting unfair advantage or exposure, I would recommend a one-on-one heart-to-heart talk with your manager. But don't make it sound like nakunan ka ng candy at ninakawan ka. Rather than focusing and saying, oh, bakit si Michelle ganito? Bakit si Michael ganyan? Rather than using that tone or approach, focus the conversation on yourself and say something like, boss, Uh, I'd like to ask for your support and your attention on this project. Gusto ko po sana, letter A, B, and C. I would like to ask, can you give me X number of minutes or hours na iko-coach niyo po ako on this? Okay? Rather than making it look like na bakit siya ginaganyan mo, ako hindi. Instead, directly ask the same thing that you want to happen to yourself. This way, you don't antagonize the person. Because remember, if someone's really doing favoritism and the moment they get called out, they become defensive, they might disengage. Okay? Pwede mong lagyan ng konting pahapyaw na, boss, I I will appreciate if I also get the same exposure that Tina does. I've noticed that you spend a lot of time coaching her on how to do X, Y, and Z. I do want to have the same exposure also because I think I can contribute more for the organization. I think I can generate more projects or more revenues for the company. So focus the conversation on that rather than making it look like na may maling ginawa. Of course, may mali naman talagang ginawa, but this is where you want to be amicable at the start because you want to win the heart of the boss. Okay? Okay, let's answer some more. Someone is asking, Sir John, naka-out of stock po ang single taken or building my empire nyo sa National Bookstore. Could you please let us know which branch is this para we can talk to our distributors? Our best-selling books are available, by the way, in National Bookstore, Lazada, and Shopee. We have 4 books so far, and all of them are about career management also. So please do get copies. Okay. Okay, let me answer this. Ito na siguro yung last kong sagot kasi medyo matagal ang sagot ko dito. Nadine Rembas is asking, John, my manager promoted me and upgraded my role. However, the salary is still the same. Is that a legal thing for a company to do? Should I clarify to my manager if there's also a salary adjustment? Okay. Number one, promotions generally require salary increases because your work scope is now totally different. The responsibility and the accountabilities are also different. If someone is promoting you without any salary increase, I think it's budol. It's a scam. Is it illegal? Not at all. Because promotions are not required by law to have a salary increase. However, in the spirit of fairness, in the spirit of ethical engagement of people, napapasayahin mo sila at meron kang pinapagawa, dapat naman talaga mas mataas ang sweldo. Right? So Nadine, I think it's unfair that you're not being compensated properly. My request for you is what you said in the last statement. Please go to your manager and discuss with them and ask why there is no salary that is tied to it. While you're discussing that with your manager, idagdag mo na din, oh boss, here's what I was doing in the past before promotion, and here are the new responsibilities that I am doing now. It would only be fair for the company for them to also compensate me for that added accountability and added responsibility. Right? So yeah, I'm gonna use that word talaga, budol yun. Lalo na yung mga examples na promotions na ipropromote ka namin, pero walang dagdag na sweldo, but you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna stretch your experience. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Don't use flowery words. Diba? Be fair. If you're making me work for more than 2 hours additional per day, if you're making me accountable, signing documents na liable ako for million-peso transaction, that requires compensation. That should be fairly matched with a higher salary. Okay? Okay. O last na lang talaga before I go. Sabi ni Iris, how do you rest? Sleep is one, but may I also add, which I often tell in my, I was doing a managing your mental wellness workshop kanina sa Tondo Medical Center. We did a workshop for nurses and doctors. Sabi ko kanina sa kanila, sleeping is not the only type of rest. You can also rest as long as you are able to abandon fear, anxiety, and stress. That's a definition of resting. Resting does not need to be in a sleeping horizontal position. Resting can be what? Creative rest. I paint. I play basketball. I watch musicals, for example. It could also be spiritual rest. I meditate, I pray. It could also be, for example, sensory rest. Kapag weekends, talagang sinashutdown mo lahat ng notifications or dinidisconnect mo ang iyong laptop at ang iyong smartphone. That's sensory rest. My point is this, as long as you're able to abandon anxiety and fear and stress, that is rest. So don't just use one type of rest. Try to use multiple types of rest. Sometimes you can sleep, pero spend more time with your friends, which is called social rest. If that is the type of rest that makes you feel happier and alive and takes away all of your worries, spend more time doing that type of rest. Okay? All right. Gladiators and Suits. Sorry ha, alam kong nabitin kayo at alam kong sobrang tagal ko nang hindi nakakapag-online. It's been a month. So I'm trying to take back all my pagkukulang. So I'm gonna go online again tomorrow. Tomorrow is is the only day for the past 2 months na wala kaming talk. Actually, meron kaming talk pero webinar lang. But it's the only day for the past 2 months na wala kaming, hindi ko kailangan sumakay ng kotse to go to someone else's office. So that's why I'll be able to go and do a live stream tomorrow ulit. Okay? Reminder lang po, if you're interested and you want to catch us live, please go to our website, jonathanyabut.com, and you can catch and enroll in all of our workshops happening this week na po. Thursday, October 26 at the SMX Convention Center, we have leadership, social media, workshops. And then on October 28, Saturday, that's public speaking and business writing. Just go to our website. We have seats available. We would love to have you in our workshops as well. Thank you. Have a safe night.